Our next AKC Hero Spotlight is brought to you by Eukanuba. And in King County, Washington, the dense urban environment of Seattle is in really close proximity to a very rugged mountain landscape. And that means that search and rescue dogs are in very high demand in that area. And Lincoln, a flat-coated retriever with boundless energy, and his handler John Izant are always poised to lend a helping hand, navigating that vast terrain with persistence and precision.
Lincoln loves searching. He does not have anything in the world he'd rather be doing. Sometimes you hear the rain pounding against the window, turning to sleet, and you know what it's going to be like out there, and you go, do I really have to get out of bed? Lincoln wants to go, and he wants to be there yesterday. And you realize, one of my neighbors needs help. So you pull yourself out of bed. You go downstairs, you pull your stuff out of the basement, hop in the car, and you're off. King County Search Dogs has a number of absolutely top-ranked dogs, and Lincoln is up there with all the greats. We go out, and he's barking his head off to get out of the car because he knows what's going to happen. He is willing to search for hours and hours. We've had missions where we know from his GPS collar he covers 26 miles in a day. And the classic stubbornness that is inherent in many flatcoats is actually a big advantage because he has the confidence to go out on his own, sometimes 100, 200, 300 yards or more, in order to find people. I'm amazed by him every time we go to training.
What do you think you guys want to work on today?
What I'd like to do are some runaways today. What I was thinking is going down into the field and setting you up with a tarp down by that stage area.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll start him from the top, give him a chance to do some searching. And
Hi, handsome boy. Yeah,
we'll see how he goes today.
All right.
We'll find you in a minute.
I actually started in volunteer search and rescue because I could combine a love of dogs and working with dogs that I'd had for many years and volunteer search and rescue work as my bit of community service. I'm a molecular biologist by training. I know how big their olfactory epithelial is. I understand how some of their olfactory neurons are connected, but the fact that they can use that to do what they do with their nose and find people still astounds me. Lincoln gets started and goes off ahead of me, trying to sniff for any live human being. We all give off quite a bit of scent, much of it in the form of little rafts of skin cells that flow off, and the heat from our bodies and the convection actually creates a bit of a scent cone. You can think of it like a smoke trail. And when he hits that, you can see him react and work his way up like a good hunting dog, quartering into the wind to find the person.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Search! Lincoln has started. Lincoln has started.
His greatest attribute for search and rescue is how much fun he has.
John does a really remarkable job of reading Lincoln's behavior. There's this really beautiful ebb and flow of a dance between them.
Good dog.
They get each other.
Lincoln ranges out, he looks back and forth, picks up the person, comes back, he grabs a little indicator tennis ball hanging from my belt, and then I give him the fancy command, show me, and he takes me back to where the person is.
Show me, good dog!
He enjoys his partnership with John. There's enjoyment when he comes into a subject and has made the find, but there's enjoyment when he leaves you to go find his handler to tell them about it. And that dog can work an 8-hour day and come back to the command post and be whooped, but still very joyful.
I've spent over 600 hours in the last year on training and on missions.
Our mission call-outs from the King County Sheriff's Office are up to 40 a year. There are sometimes 20 or 40 search areas, and you may have 20 teams made up of dog teams from King County, dog teams from other counties. If someone's out there, they're only going to be in one area. That's why the usual result of any search is finding nothing. But it's important that every person clear their area to make sure that someone isn't there, to make sure you don't have to go back and search it, so that resources can then be used somewhere else. I'm proud of him every time he doesn't find someone, but we feel like we really covered an area well.
To be part of something that is so large, there's so many people who spend so much time and devote so much of their lives to the hope that they will be able to help a person who needs help. That inspires me.
With Lincoln, his confidence in being able to go out and range, sometimes long distances, has just increased steadily. And that's helping turn him into one of the very good dogs we have in King County Search Dogs. He's had a really good year and a half. Within that, he's actually had 2 live finds. Both of them were elderly dementia patients who had walked away from home. And he's been able to help make sure that an emergency doesn't become a tragedy.
So I got to be the operations leader for one of those finds. And right away they got to work. You always know when Lincoln's working because he stops barking. So everything got really quiet. And I mean, it couldn't have been 15 or 20 minutes before we heard the crackle on the radio that the subject had been located. And we stood there looking around in amazement like, really? Is it real? He's only been at this for 20 minutes. The beauty of that is the dog and the handler did exactly what they were supposed to do, and we know that in training. But when you do it in a live search, you're not surprised, you're just gobsmacked a little. You're like, this is what we train hundreds and hundreds of hours every year to do, and we did it.
He's our pet, and yet he goes out and makes a difference in people's lives, and that's pretty amazing. I just couldn't be prouder of him.
The emotion and the pride when you do have that first live find are second to none. But it was really in the car ride home where you realize that your little dog has just saved someone. And it's that little private moment that is pretty unparalleled.
Just another great story, and John is far too humble to admit it, but they are such a prolific tandem with King County Search and Rescue. You could think about them as the Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan, I think, of a department that does such incredible work on a daily basis.
Love the sports analogy, Carolyn. I knew it was coming. This category to me has always been really one of my favorites, as much for the people as the dogs. They're remarkable people. The most selfless people in the dog community are search and rescue handlers. Absolutely.
What they're doing is offering peace of mind in so many circumstances. You and I have seen so many nominations over the years of Alzheimer's patients who have wandered away, or an elderly person or a child leaving their home and getting lost. But there's something very special about a dog being the one that initiates the reconnectivity and contact.
It's very well said, Carolyn. And incidentally, I wouldn't be the AKC guy here if I didn't mention the breed. Flat coat, flat coat. This is a great breed. I'm so happy to see it getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, it's an incredible category, and we still have more stories still to come. So we're glad that you're here, and stay along with us because the stories are just better and better as we go. And coming up next, we're going to bring you the story of our award winner for Canine Excellence in the category of Uniformed Service Canines.